My name is Greig Hyland. I'm General Manager of Canada Sales with Ultrasonix. Also do some clinical follow-up as well, so I'm happy to share some of the feedback on some of the physics involved in some of the ultrasound technologies. So to begin with, we all know what a transducer is. There's two types of transducers that we utilize. There's the linear, which is a straight edge presentation, and a curvilinear, which is slightly curved. Each one has different applications and properties that actually enable us better imaging depending on the part of the body that we direct their utility towards. The linear one is largely a small parts probe. Most of the organs are shallow, and it gives us a higher frequency or higher resolution, but the trade-off is penetration. The curvilinear, which is more of a deeper penetrating ability that provides us with access, is used for abdominal or deeper structures. The trade-off is resolution, but the advantage is penetration. And I'll be going over some of the slides as well. So in the conventional technology of a transducer, we have electronic steering of the echoes that are sent from the elements in the crystal or the transducer head. Emitted, they interact with the body, they hit various structures at different densities and depths. They echo back, and we collect all those return echoes. And the sequence of firing is left to right. Just to be rather fundamental in our transducer, there it is, and it sits on the transducer skin is right there, emitting echoes in and actually collecting them on the return. As I share with you, high frequency is really important to differentiate higher resolution for shallower structures. This is the sine-cosine wave pattern where it interacts with the structures here. The important thing of this slide is the amplitude of the waveform. The higher the amplitude based on the cycles per second gives us the higher frequency distribution. Again, this is the linear probe that actually supports the small parts or higher frequency abilities. The lower frequency, such as the curvilinear, actually has a longer wavelength, but the cycles per time or unit time are not as tight, so the resolution is a bit of a trade-off. Again, the curvilinear. Pulsed inversion is another ability of ours to generate another nature of frequency, eliciting the result of a higher contrast resolution and enhanced border definition. This is a complex slide, but basically when we actually harmonics, we send out two succinct pulses very quickly together, and as a result on their return collection, the resultant summed amplitude comes back as twice the information or twice the amplitude. The sine and cosine properties are then filtered out, resulting in a cleaner harmonic echo for resolve, driving towards higher contrast and image border resolution. There's an example. This is an image on the left without harmonics. There's an image on the right with harmonics. And you can see that the border definition and the enhancement is more clear. It also assists in the differentiation for vessel, noise artifact, as well as cystic structures, differentiating the various cystic properties within a cystic structure to be complex to clear. Here's another probe that you may recognize. It's a small part. It's a phased array probe with a small footprint. We utilize this largely for cardiac and also intercostal, which assists into the access for the window. The basic parameters on the Sonix Touch you'll see in this representation. It's basically a 3 or 4 button operation for the Sonix Touch that you have in the anesthesia department. You've got your zoom function, and beside each of the highlighted white tabs, you've got knobs that control the intended function, which is highlighted. You've got your gain at the bottom, you've got your depth, the frequency, and zoom. And turning the knobs on the right margin of these tabs list a selection of choices in each of the categories. So zoom would expand the information on your screen. The frequency, if you want a higher frequency, just turn the knob. If you want a lower frequency, just turn it the opposite. Turn it left, turn it right. The focus is grayed out because currently in the basic setup, we have an autofocus display on the image exam field. And we'll go into that a little better, or a little more information to differentiate what's the difference between autofocus to define focus zones, resulting in better axial resolution displayed on the image. Depth, increasing number, pushes things away, gives you more depth of field. Decreasing number gets more shallow. And gain, the gain function on this button adjusts the gain on the overall image. So sometimes when you want to enlist or enhance the gain in the far field, there's another area called TGC, time gain curve, that enlists the individual segmental enhancement of the signal amplification individually in any aspect of that field. And I'll go into that as well. Gain, as I share with you, overall gain, the echoes are amplified in the overall image. So if you may want to turn up, and try and do this always incrementally. If you turn the knob, you're going to get overgain and you're going to get too much artifact, which actually will detract from the tissue differentiation and border appreciation to identify structures of choice. Are there any questions so far? The time gain is, again, individual aspects of the image, near, mid, or far, can be individually chosen or enhanced or reduced to better the image on that given choice or region of interest. The example of depth of field, basically the more shallow you are, the larger the image may present. Or the increased depth, the more real estate you have displayed on your screen, would shrink down your available structures in your image window. They're identically the same size, but your depth of field will be obviously different. I mention this because even in the radiology department, when, for example, there was a AAA being assessed, and the AAA was actually on a very short or shallow field of view, and the individual read the AAA as a positive AAA, which in fact it wasn't. So sometimes look at your depth of field to say, well, that's large or that's big, but it will correspondingly appropriately size down the organ or area of interest in your image exam field. Here's a slide that describes the focal zones. As I've shared with you earlier, the default standard display of focal zones are hidden, and they have about 4 or 5 focal zones that are providing you with resolve in the overall image. But you can further cone down and enhance the axial resolution by applying a focal zone or several focal zones and actually controlling the distribution of distance between the focal zones. The resultant effect is that we have more control, or better control, if you will, of the axial resolution from skin surface down into body listening for echoes. And because this enhances the electronic steering and display of heightened resolution with respect to the thinner hourglass appearance of the mechanical focus. I often just summarize this as a belt around the waist. The tighter the belt, the better you look. So you can control the display or placement of the focal zones and move them into the near field or far field. Zoom, there's 2 abilities to zoom on the image. There's a read zoom and a write zoom. The read zoom on the basic display is in the upper right corner, as you recall, enlarges the overall information on the image itself. And you can easily just turn the button and just basically blows it up. It may look a little more pixely, but you're taking the existing information and stretching it. The difference between the write zoom is that the HD or high definition zoom attribute or feature can be enlisted by touching it, and it comes up with a square, a box, a region of interest. You can actually redefine that region of interest on the screen, shrink it down, make it larger, and when you hit the update key, which will be shared with you on the interface, it takes the information in that box and displays it on the overall image field, giving you a tighter display and resolution for more accurate depiction of a fine area of interest that you may be coning in on. And not to confuse you further, but you can also zoom up that heightened detail of the high definition zoom as well. And we can play with that when we actually have hands-on as well. Some of the advanced parameters can be chosen through the Q Sonix or the Q button. And as a result, we enlist more of the ultrasound components and controls for more advanced utility and manipulation of the ultrasound image. This may or may not be of interest to you. The default will be the simple display, the larger buttons, more clear, But if you wish to enable greater control and manipulation of the ultrasound image that we'll have an opportunity to work with in the hands-on workshop, this is the appearance and presentation of the advanced setting. Your gain button, depth, all these kind of shrink down to allow more buttoning controls from a sonographic perspective, eliciting better control and image manipulation. Spatial compounding is one of the advanced features. You know conventionally that we actually, in the previous slides that we've shown you, that when we send a pulse from the transducer hitting a structure, we listen for return echoes. Compounding, we actually steer trapezoidal scans or tangent to the information that we normally use fundamentally, and we collect all these return echoes. The result image is that we have a better ability to filter out haze and noise, which is detracting, creating image artifacts, or two parameters that actually contribute to image degradation. So as a result of all these multiple scans from these multiple angles, we have a better idea to filter out, resulting in a better contrast resolution and image enhancement for border definition. Clarity is another feature on the system that is a speckle reduction. That salt and pepper appearance that you have on the image can be manipulated to be more resolved so it doesn't detract. And again, it further enhances the image resolution and border definition for ideal resolution on your image or structure of choice. Gray maps, we have various maps that we can choose as well. This may be getting into some of the minutiae of the sonography, but I'm only sharing this with you that if you're so inclined to want to look at this further, they're available to you as an image choice for optimal system operation. Dynamic range, persistence, reject, these are all additional things that are commonly used for sonographer or radiology manipulation as well. Color Doppler is an easy button that you can identify. So if you wonder if something's cystic structure is a vessel, or if a vessel is a cystic structure, then you just enable the color Doppler and it will provide you with flow in that vessel, which is directionally based. Often you see blue and red and blue and red. Well, that's a attribute of the color Doppler feature, identifying flow towards the probe and flow away from the probe. There's another color feature called Power Doppler that is non-directional, but it basically, for low flow states, defines heightened sensitivity to pick up low flow vessels, given that you want to avoid them in your nerve block procedure. Thank you. Now, we've gone through that fairly fast, but we can refresh it or review them given the choices. Are there any questions? Yes, Jacek.
You used spatial compounding with Power Doppler.
No, because it's a physical firing electronic system that knocks you out of color, because it really requires you to take advantage of a multiple steering and timing of the echoes being sent into the body and collected back. No. So there's times when you want to use compounding and there's times when you want.
And you cannot combine the special compounding with harmonics.
You can. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
But when would you try to use this combination?
Cystic structures. But if you're looking to enhance a particular border definition that has close proximity with respect to the abdominal or field, then you would be wanting to use that. Gallbladder scanning to heighten stones, to heighten wall attributes, sludge, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Just a fairly basic question, but when someone is manipulating the various parameters and adjusting them, and the next time you do a study, is everything reset to a certain preset point?
It's a very good point. Those attributes that you've changed can easily be saved under a label that you define for easy identification the next time you repeat that same protocol. So you can capture or save your choice of presets so they're available to you in the future.
But more importantly, my colleague's been using the machine just before me and fine-tune everything, and I come along and do another study. The machine's been shut off, or not shut off, I don't know. I turn it back on again. Is everything kind of preset to a certain factory?
The system will remember the previous settings that it were in.
So if he screwed it up for me, then I have to go and readjust everything to my visual desire.
Or you can go into presets, find your name or whatever label that you've chosen as a definition of that procedural identification, hit it, and the system automatically comes up with your defined choices. Your image, your depth, your focal, your frequency, your gain, your maps, your dynamic range, should they be changed?
Short of that, what's chosen?
The default choice.
There is a default.
There is a default. So when you go into Q and you go into nerve block, you're going to get 3 choices: shallow, deep, and general. So whether your nerve choice is shallow or deep, you choose that appropriate, and then the system will set up as a default choice and the overall parameters. We spent hundreds of hours scanning. So we're trying to make this more streamlined and easy. Choose it. It's already pre-auto-optimized if you so choose. Yeah. Good question, though. Good question.
Basically, all we need is the presets.
Absolutely. Turn the power button on.
But for those of us who are rather simple and don't use this as frequently as some other people, we'll just default to the presets.
That's right.
Speaking of that, where's the on-off?
Exactly. We'll go over that. So in front of you as well, there's a quick guide if you'd want to draw your attention to it. This will assist you with some of the easy go-to parameters for operation on the Sonix Touch. And it provides you with the easy steps as well as some of the advanced features that are also easy, but if you're not familiar or using the system on a repeated basis, this would be a good helpful hint tool. So I'm going to show you a video, a quick 2-minute video that's going to go into what this quick guide can be of assistance towards.
A quick 2-minute video, does it have pause on?
It does have pause.
Welcome to the Ultrasonix Sonix Touch Getting Started tutorial. There are 3 components to the system: the monitor, the touchscreen, and the console. The inputs include the trackball, 6 keys on the console, and a touchscreen supporting 5 dials to the right. The power button sits under the panel to the left. To begin the exam, press the Q-Sonix button. Tap the touchscreen to select an exam type. You will be prompted to select an applicable transducer followed by an imaging preset. Enter the patient information manually or by selecting More on the touchscreen to choose a pre-existing patient entry in the exam management window. Tap OK and begin scanning. The 5 dials to the right control the parameter options on the touchscreen. To manually change a parameter, tap it and turn the dial adjacent to it. Along the bottom of the touchscreen, imaging modes are displayed. Simply tap the mode to activate. Toggling between active modes is achieved using the Update button on the console. To take a measurement, press the console's freeze button and tap Measure on the touchscreen. In the measurement window on the touchscreen, tap a desired measurement type. Using the trackball on the console, position the caliper on the image. Press Select on the console and position the second caliper using the trackball. The measurement is visible on the image and will be stored in the patient report by pressing Select again. The patient measurement report can be accessed by tapping Report on the top right of the touchscreen. At any time while scanning, you are able to store the image by pressing custom key 1 or 2 on the system console. Please refer to the custom key section in Chapter 8 of the user manual to configure your system. To annotate your frozen image, tap the Annotate button on the touchscreen and input your desired text using the touchscreen keyboard or tap a custom annotation selection. To end your exam, tap the End Exam button on the top right corner of the touchscreen. To review your examination, tap on the Exam Review on the top left of the touchscreen. Select the patient examination and transfer. For the purpose of this demonstration, I will transfer onto a USB device that is connected to the left side of the console. I select the removable E-drive as a storage destination, choose a desired image format, and tap Send. Click OK, exit the Exam Review window, and that completes this tutorial. For more details, please refer to the Sonix Touch user guide. Thank you for watching.
Oh boy.
Now there's a driver's license for you.
Now, does she come with the machine?
That would be me.
And you use that.
We can have a sidebar conversation. Yes, we can arrange anything.
I mean, able to perform.
So some of the features and functions in that tutorial may be outside of your interest zone, but it goes more generally into the specifics. But we can go more intuitively into some of the attributes that you're looking to operate the Sonix Touch as a takeaway for today's hands-on workshop. So are there any questions so far? Welcome, by the way. Thank you. You missed the exam, so your timing was really good.
Thanks.
Yeah. So as far as the hands-on, what I'm going to recommend is that we're going to break into 3 groups. So those of you, and we're going to rotate, so those of you have are early adopters to utilizing ultrasound, then I recommend that you team up with Heather in the back. For those of you who actually have more advanced or experienced appreciation for using ultrasound, then I would like to team you up with Linda. And for those of you that would like to specifically go into the GPS or the guidance positioning system that we're very pleased to share with you today, that will be a direct and inherent clinical benefit for nerve block applications, then we can actually concentrate up here. So we'll probably concentrate with a 20-minute window on each and rotate, or spend more as you see fit, however, but we've got between now and 12, or any time available to you to go into a deeper understanding or review a certain appreciation for the ultrasound attributes. It's entirely up to you to take advantage and make the best of what you and us have the opportunity to share this morning. Sound good?